Minds of a Rebel. You are now watching what?
Red Boxing!
Let's get it. What's up, y'all? We here to do another fantasy Rebel fight here. This episode, we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. versus Jeron Ennis. Now, I bring this up because I saw a couple of videos when people were saying who would win the fight. I saw comments, people saying they want to see Jeron and Errol scrap. I would like to see it, and Jeron want to fight Errol as well, but I'm going to get into how I think that fight would go and who would potentially win that fight. Jeron Ennis is an up-and-comer. I don't consider him a prospect no more. I consider him a contender for sure. Strong kid. Decent speed. Good power. Nice footwork. Kind of reminds you of Roy Jones Jr., his mannerisms, his movements, everything. And the way he likes to showboat a little bit. Hey, that's cool. We put a little flair in the ring. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Put a little flair to his character. A little bit of showboating in the ring to add some pizzazz, show that he got some kind of character to him, you know what I mean? You got Errol Spence. Definitely more experienced, decent footwork, a good engine on him, durable, good power. Now, both these fighters though, one can say that both of them have never had their chin tested. But Errol has had his chin tested more than Jeron, because he had more fights, he's more experienced. And I would say Errol has a pretty solid chin. Jeron Ennis, we don't know. We haven't seen it yet. That's remained to be seen. So how would the fight go in the ring? Well, Errol is a fast starter. I saw people say Errol's a slow starter. I don't know what they're talking about. Terrence Crawford is a slow starter. Errol Spence is not. Jeron Ennis is a fast starter. So you're going to have right off the back, unless them two decide to understand that, hey, look, the potential for knockout is there between both of them. They both decide to be a little bit more cautious in the first round, then cool. If not, more than likely, you will see that fight looking similar to, you'll see like a kind of a slower paced Sean Porter Errol Spence fight, because you're going to see both of them in the phone booth. You're going to see that in that fight. Believe that. Trust me, when they fight, you're going to see both of them in the phone booth. You're going to see a lot of body work. And what I can also see is Jeron is slick. He's a slick fighter. Errol is slick too. He showed me a lot in the Mikey Garcia fight. Trust me, he showed me a lot. Jeron might be a little bit more slicker than Errol. Errol is not overconfident as he was. Like in his earlier fights, he would get caught with stuff. You'd be like, how the fuck did he get caught with that? But he's fixed that. Errol is much more cautious. He's more patient with his punches. And with that being said, Jeron Ennis sometimes can get a little too excited in there, a little too anxious. That was partly what caused that headbutt. Most of that headbutt was Chris Van Heerden's fault. But if Jeron didn't rush in like that, he wouldn't have had a chance to get headbutted by Chris Van Heerden as well either. He might get a little too overconfident. There might be times in that fight he might catch Errol. He might even he could possibly hurt Errol in that fight. And then Jeron get a little overly confident, and then Errol sneak one in there and could potentially hurt him. I see that happening as well. I think that you'll see Errol going to the body a lot as early on in that fight. We're a little bit cautious, but around the third, fourth round, you're going to see Errol starting to pour in the body work. Jeron moving around more. Then you're going to start seeing Jeron heat up a little bit more, start tapping Errol to the body, start tapping Errol to the face. That is going to be a good fight. With that being said, though, I just don't think Jeron is ready as far as when I mean ready, he's ready. I think he's ready to fight him, but I mean, on the level of Errol yet. I just think if he got a few more fights in, he would probably, be a little bit more. I won't say on par with Errol, but he would know more. He'll be more battle hardened for Errol Spence. Put it like that. Get some body conditioning in there. Good body conditioning with his trainers and things like that. Some good fights in. Some good fight somebody that have good body work. That's on a low tier or mid tier level of a fighter. But I don't see Errol stopping him. I don't see that. I don't see that. Be honest, I can see Jeron Ennis stopping Errol before I see Errol stopping Jeron. That fight is gonna go to the cards. That's gonna go to 12. If he fights him within this year, which probably won't happen, Errol will win that fight by UD. I just think he's probably a little too strong right now. He's a little bit too strong, and I would say he's a little too crafty, and his, like I said, the dude Errol has an engine. He has an engine, so I think Jeron's gonna have to really put on a show for this. He got to bring his A game to fight Errol, especially after this accident. That shit did something to Errol. Yo, listen, man, when Errol did this, after he got tapped in the face, after the bell rung by Danny Garcia, when he wiped that punch off, I was like, oh God, here's a monster. I'm telling you. But Jeron Ennis is a monster. But I just don't think right now he beats Errol yet. Maybe in like another 2 years he'll probably smoke Errol, but not right now. Errol's in his prime. I don't see him smoking him yet. He doesn't have that experience yet. He's too overconfident. I see him going in there, getting a little bit reckless, and then potentially getting clipped, maybe hurt, buzzed. But I don't think Errol stops him, but I see him getting clipped with some shit, and maybe Errol taking a little bit of confidence from him and then coasting to the 12 UD. That's just how I see it right now. But Jeron is my man. I fuck with him heavy, but I don't see him beating Errol, knocking him out. I don't see that happening. I don't see him winning on the cards either. Let me know what you think, man. So I got Errol Spence winning that 12-round decision. Get back to me, man. Let me know what you think. Holla at me.